The stars looked cold and distant through the window of the human ship Terra's Hope. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the alien space station grow larger as they got closer. He had seen many things in his 45 years, but this was different. This was first contact with the most feared race in the galaxy. "Captain, we're getting a signal from the Zephyrian station," said Lieutenant Amy Roberts from her seat at the communication desk. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the nervous edge in it. "Put it through," Jake said. He straightened his uniform and walked to the center of the bridge. Behind him, Dr. Lisa Carter and Ben Hayes stood ready. Lisa was their language expert, and Ben knew everything about alien cultures. They were the best team Earth could send. The view screen flickered to life. A massive alien face appeared, with dark blue skin covered in thick plates like armor. 4 glowing yellow eyes stared at them. The creature's mouth was full of sharp teeth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. "Human vessel, you will follow our escort ships. Do not change course, do not use weapons. Any wrong move will result in your destruction." "Understood," Jake replied calmly. "We come in peace and ask for safe passage to meet with your queen." The alien's eyes studied Jake for a long moment. "You show no fear, human. This is interesting. Follow the escort ships." The screen went black. Amy looked up at Jake with wide eyes. "Captain, the scanners show 12 Zephyrian warships surrounding us. Each one could destroy us with a single shot." "Then it's good. We're not here to fight," Jake said with a small smile. He sat down in his captain's chair. "Take us in, nice and slow." The Terra's Hope was not a big ship. It carried only 30 people and was built for diplomacy, not war. As they moved toward the alien station, Jake could see the massive Zephyrian ships around them. Each warship was 10 times bigger than their little vessel. Dr. Lisa Carter moved to stand beside Jake's chair. She was a small woman with brown hair and smart eyes. "Jake, the language files we got from the other alien races might not be enough. The Zephyrians don't talk to outsiders much. We might have communication problems." "We'll figure it out," Jake said. "We always do." Ben Hayes, a tall man with gray hair, joined them. "Captain, I've been studying everything we know about Zephyrian culture. They respect strength above all else. They think other races are weak. Most aliens are terrified of them." "Are you terrified, Ben?" Jake asked. Ben thought for a moment. "No, sir. Nervous, yes, but not terrified. They're just people, even if they look different." Jake nodded. "That's exactly right." The Zephyrian space station was huge. It looked like a giant metal fortress, floating in space. Weapons covered its surface. Docking bays opened like hungry mouths. As they got closer, Jake could see thousands of alien ships coming and going. "This is their main station in this sector," Ben said, reading from his tablet. "Home to over 2 million Zephyrians. Queen Zarath rules from here." "Tell me about the Queen," Jake said. "She's been in power for 20 years. She's won battles against 6 different alien races. Other species call her the Iron Queen. They say she's never lost a fight and never shows mercy to enemies." Lisa looked worried. "Jake, maybe we should prepare some formal speeches. Something to show respect. Other races always bow and praise her when they meet her." Jake shook his head. "We're not other races, we're humans. We'll be respectful, but we'll be ourselves." The Terra's Hope moved into the docking bay. The bay was so large their ship looked like a toy inside it. Zephyrian, workers moved around loading and unloading cargo. They all wore thick armor and carried weapons. "Captain," Amy called out, "we're getting new instructions. We're to dock at Platform 7. A security team will escort us to the Queen immediately." "No time to rest then," Jake said. He stood up and looked at his team. "Remember, we're representing all of humanity today. Stay calm, be respectful, but don't be afraid to be human." The ship touched down with a soft bump. Through the windows, they could see Zephyrian guards waiting for them. The aliens were huge, at least 8 feet tall. Their armor was black and covered with spikes. They carried energy weapons that glowed with blue light. Jake walked to the airlock. Lisa and Ben followed him. The rest of the crew would stay with the ship. As the airlock opened, Jake got his first breath of Zephyrian air. It smelled like metal and something sharp he couldn't identify. The guard captain stepped forward. This Zephyrian was even bigger than the others. Scars covered the visible parts of his face and arms. When he spoke, his voice was like thunder. "I am Commander Vextar. You will follow me. Do not touch anything. Do not speak unless spoken to. The Queen does not like to wait." "Understood, Commander," Jake said. He didn't back away, even though the alien towered over him. "We're ready when you are." Commander Vextar stared down at Jake. The other guards watched closely. Jake met the commander's gaze without flinching. After a moment, something that might have been respect flickered in the alien's eyes. "Follow," Vextar said. They walked through corridors made of dark metal. The walls were covered with pictures of battles and victories. Zephyrian workers stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. Some looked curious, others looked hungry, like they wanted to fight. "The Queen's throne room is ahead," Vextar said as they approached two massive doors. "She will decide if humans are worth her time. Many species are not." The doors opened, with a deep rumbling sound. Inside was the largest room Jake had ever seen. The ceiling was so high it disappeared in shadows. Hundreds of Zephyrian nobles and warriors stood along the walls. At the far end, on a throne made of black stone and metal, sat Queen Zareth. She was magnificent and terrifying, taller than any of her guards, with armor that looked like it had been through 1,000 battles. Scars crossed her arms and face like silver lines. Her 4 eyes glowed like burning coals as she watched the humans approach. Jake walked forward, steadily. Lisa and Ben stayed close behind him. The Queen's gaze fixed on Jake, studying him like a predator watching prey. When they reached the base of her throne, Commander Vexitar struck his weapon against the floor. "Your Majesty, I present the human delegation. They seek an audience with the Iron Queen." Queen Zareth leaned forward on her throne. When she spoke, her voice filled the entire room. "So, humans have finally come to my domain. Tell me, small creatures, why should I waste my time with your weak species?" Jake looked up at Queen Zareth without fear. The massive alien ruler sat on her throne like a mountain of living armor. Her 4 glowing eyes watched him carefully. Around the room, hundreds of Zephyrian warriors waited to see what the human would do. "Your Majesty," Jake said in a clear voice, "we come because Earth wants to build friendship with the Zephyrian Empire. We've heard about your strength and wisdom across the galaxy." The Queen made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was cold and sharp. "Friendship? Wisdom? You speak pretty words, human, but I know what your kind really thinks when you look at me." She stood up from her throne. Even from far away, Jake could see how huge she was. The scars on her arms and face caught the light. Her armor was covered with marks from old battles. She was both beautiful and frightening at the same time. "Look at me, human," the Queen said, her voice getting louder. "Look at my face. Look at my scars. Look at this armor that has been through 100 wars. Tell me what you see." The room became very quiet. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. Behind him, Lisa and Ben stood still as statues. This was some kind of test, but Jake wasn't sure what the right answer was. Queen Zareth walked down the steps from her throne. Each step made a loud sound on the metal floor. She stopped just a few feet from Jake. Up close, she was even more impressive. Her skin was dark blue with silver markings. Her armor was scratched and dented but polished to shine. "I know what other species see when they look at me," she said. Her voice was quieter now, but still dangerous. "They see a monster. They see something ugly and terrible. They see death and war and pain." She leaned down toward Jake. Her glowing eyes were now level with his. "They call me beautiful to my face because they are afraid, but I know they lie. I know they think I am hideous." Jake studied her face. He saw the scars, yes. He saw the sharp teeth and the glowing eyes. He saw the marks of many battles. But he also saw something else. He saw intelligence in those eyes. He saw strength that came from more than just size and weapons. He saw someone who had earned every mark on her body. "So tell me, human," Queen Zareth said. "What do you see when you look at me? Do not lie. Do not try to flatter me. Tell me the truth." Jake took a deep breath. Behind him he heard Ben whisper, "Careful." But Jake had made his decision. "Your Majesty," he said, "I see someone who has fought for everything she has. I see scars that tell stories of battles won. I see armor that has protected you through dangers that would destroy weaker people." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "You think I am weak? You think I need protection?" "No," Jake said quickly. "I think you are strong. I think you are probably the strongest person in this room. Maybe the strongest person I've ever met." Some of the Zephyrian warriors shifted nervously. This was not how other aliens usually talked to their queen. Queen Zareth straightened up to her full height. "You say I am strong, but you have not said if you think I am beautiful or ugly. Answer the question, human." Jake looked at her again. He thought about all the things that made a person beautiful. Not just their face or body, but their spirit, their courage, the way they carried themselves, the respect they earned from others. "Your Majesty," Jake said, "you carry yourself like someone who has earned every scar and every victory. You stand like a person who knows her own worth. That's not ugly, that's gorgeous." The entire throne room went silent. Not a single Zephyrian moved or made a sound. Queen Zareth stared at Jake with all four eyes wide open. For a moment she looked almost confused. "What did you say?" she asked quietly. "I said you're gorgeous," Jake repeated. "Beautiful. Magnificent." The Queen blinked her four eyes slowly. You called me gorgeous." Her voice sounded different now, uncertain. "Why would you call me gorgeous? I am ugly, human. Everyone knows I am ugly." Jake just smiled. It was the kind of smile that showed warmth and honesty. "Your Majesty, beauty isn't about looking like everyone else. Beauty is about strength. It's about purpose. It's about the way you command respect without having to demand it." Queen Zareth touched one of the scars on her face with a clawed finger. "These marks make me hideous. They show that I have been hurt. They show that I have failed." "No," Jake said firmly. "Those scars show that you have survived. They show that you have faced danger and lived to tell about it. Where I come from, we think scars like yours are beautiful because they show a life lived with courage." The Queen looked confused. "Your people find scars beautiful?" "We find strength beautiful," Jake explained. "We find courage beautiful. We find people who protect others beautiful. From what I've heard, you've done all of those things." Dr. Lisa Carter stepped forward slightly. "Your Majesty, if I may add something. In human culture, we have a saying. We say that true beauty comes from within. It comes from a person's character and actions." Ben Hayes nodded. "We admire people who have been through hard times and come out stronger. We think that makes them more beautiful, not less." Queen Zareth looked from Jake to Lisa to Ben. "You are saying that humans see beauty differently than other species?" "Yes," Jake said. "We don't think beauty is about having perfect skin or no scars. We think beauty is about having a strong spirit, about being brave, about caring for others." The Queen walked back to her throne but did not sit down. She turned to face the humans again. "Other species that come here tell me I am beautiful, but their voices shake with fear when they say it. They lie because they are afraid I will kill them." "We're not lying," Jake said. "And we're not afraid." "You are not afraid of me?" Queen Zareth asked. She sounded surprised. Jake shook his head. "No, Your Majesty, should we be?" The Queen thought about this. "Most creatures fear me. They see my size, my weapons, my scars. They know I have killed many enemies in battle. They know I could crush them without effort." "We know you could hurt us if you wanted to," Jake said. "But we also know you're an honorable ruler. We've heard that you protect your people. We've heard that you're fair in your judgments. Those are the actions of someone with a good heart." Queen Zareth sat down heavily on her throne. She stared at Jake for a long time. Around the room her warriors watched and waited. No one seemed to know what to do next. "You really think I am gorgeous?" the Queen asked again. Jake nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. I think you are beautiful because of who you are, not despite it." The queen touched another scar on her arm. This one was long and silver against her blue skin. This scar came from saving one of my soldiers in battle. I took a blade meant for him. That makes you more beautiful, not less, Jake said. For the first time since they had arrived, Queen Zareth smiled. It was not a cold smile or a dangerous smile. It was a real smile, warm and surprised. I do not understand you humans, she said. But I think I would like to. Queen Zareth stood up from her throne and walked closer to the humans. Her heavy footsteps echoed in the huge room. The Zephyrian warriors along the walls watched carefully, but they seemed less tense than before. Human delegation, the queen said. I have decided something. You will stay on this station for one full cycle of our moon. I want to learn more about your strange ways of thinking. Jake bowed his head slightly. We would be honored, Your Majesty. Commander Vextar, the queen called to her guard captain, give the humans quarters in the diplomatic wing. Make sure they have everything they need. The large Zephyrian commander nodded. Yes, my queen. What about security? Queen Zareth looked at Jake thoughtfully. I do not think these humans plan to hurt anyone, but give them an escort anyway, not guards, guides. They should learn about our ways while they are here. Over the next few days, the humans settled into life on the Zephyrian station. Their rooms were large but plain, with thick metal walls and small windows that looked out into space. The furniture was built for creatures much bigger than humans, so they had to climb onto chairs and beds. Dr. Lisa Carter spent most of her time in the station's great library. It was filled with thousands of records about Zephyrian history and culture. Zephyrian scholars helped her translate the old writings. She learned that the Zephyrians had been warriors for thousands of years, but they also valued honor, loyalty, and protecting the weak. Look at this, Lisa said to Jake one evening as they ate dinner in their quarters. She showed him a tablet with translated text. This is a poem written by a Zephyrian warrior 500 years ago. It's about finding beauty in battle scars. Jake read the poem. It talked about how each scar was a lesson learned. Each wound was proof of courage. They've always thought this way, he said. We're not so different after all. Ben Hayes was learning about Zephyrian fighting traditions. He watched training sessions where young Zephyrians learned to use weapons and armor. He was surprised to learn that they also taught things like mercy, fairness, and protecting those who could not protect themselves. Their warriors have a code, Ben explained to the others. They believe that true strength comes from helping others, not just from winning fights. A warrior who only thinks about victory is not respected. Meanwhile, Jake found himself spending more and more time with Queen Zareth. She asked him to join her for meals and walks around the station. At first, her guards stayed close, but after a few days, she told them to give the humans more space. During one of their walks, they stopped at a viewing deck that looked out into space. Stars spread out in all directions like tiny diamonds. The queen stood next to Jake, her tall form making him look very small. Tell me about human beauty, Queen Zareth said. How do your people decide what is beautiful? Jake thought about this carefully. Well, we have different ideas. Some humans like certain colors of hair or eyes. Some like tall people, some like short people. But the things we find most beautiful are usually about character. Character? The queen asked. Yes, we think kind people are beautiful. We think brave people are beautiful. We think people who work hard and care about others are beautiful. Jake looked up at her. We especially think people who have survived hard times are beautiful. The queen touched one of her scars again. She had been doing this more often since meeting the humans. On my world, scars were seen as marks of honor. But when we went to space and met other species, they looked at us with fear and disgust. That's their loss, Jake said. They're missing out on seeing how amazing you really are. Queen Zareth looked down at him with her 4 glowing eyes. You are a strange creature, Jake Morrison. When you look at me, you do not see a monster. I see a queen who cares about her people. I see someone who has fought to protect what matters to her. I see someone with wisdom and strength. Jake smiled. Those are all beautiful things. The Queen was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Tell me about human scars. Do your people get scars?" "Oh yes," Jake said. "I have several myself." He rolled up his sleeve to show a long white line on his arm. "This one is from when I was a soldier. I got it protecting my squad from an explosion." The Queen studied the scar with interest. "You were hurt saving others?" "Yes, and I'm proud of it. This scar reminds me that I did something good that day." Queen Zareth ran a clawed finger gently along Jake's scar. Her touch was surprisingly gentle for someone so large and powerful. "Your people would think this scar makes you more beautiful?" "Definitely," Jake said. "It shows that I put others before myself. That's one of the most beautiful things a person can do." The Queen straightened up and looked out at the stars again. "I have never thought of my scars as beautiful. Other species made me believe they were ugly marks that made me frightening." "Well, other species were wrong," Jake said firmly. One day Queen Zareth invited the humans to watch a ceremony in the station's main hall. It was a celebration for young Zephyrian warriors who had just finished their training. The ceremony was full of speeches about honor, courage, and protecting others. During the ceremony, Jake noticed something interesting. When the young warriors received their first real weapons and armor, the older warriors would touch their own scars and tell stories about how they got them. Each scar had a story of bravery or protection or learning from mistakes. After the ceremony, Jake spoke with Queen Zareth about what he had seen. "Your people do think scars are beautiful," he said. "They just forgot that when they started worrying about what other species thought." The Queen nodded slowly. "You are right. We have always honored our battle marks. But when we became part of the larger galaxy, we began to see ourselves through alien eyes." "Maybe it's time to see yourselves through your own eyes again," Jake suggested. That evening, Queen Zareth called for a private dinner with just the three humans. They ate in her personal dining room, which was smaller and more comfortable than the great throne room. The Queen had removed most of her heavy armor and wore simpler clothes that still looked royal but were less intimidating. "I have been thinking about what you said," she told them as they ate. "About seeing ourselves through our own eyes." Lisa looked up from her food. "What do you mean, Your Majesty?" "For too long, we have tried to be what other species expected us to be. They expected us to be monsters, so we became more monstrous. They expected us to be cruel, so we became more cruel." The Queen set down her eating utensil. "But you humans see something different in us." "We see who you really are," Ben said. "Strong, honorable people who care about doing the right thing." Jake nodded. "You don't have to be monsters just because other people are afraid of you. You can be beautiful and strong at the same time." Queen Zareth smiled that warm, real smile again. It was becoming more common when she was with the humans. "I think I am beginning to understand. Beauty is not about making others comfortable. It is about being true to yourself and your values." "Exactly," Jake said. "And you, Your Majesty, are one of the most true people I've ever met." The Queen looked down at her hands, which were large and clawed but moved with careful grace. "Do you really think these hands are beautiful? They have held weapons. They have hurt enemies. They have also protected friends," Jake pointed out. "They have helped build this station where millions of your people live safely. They have signed treaties that brought peace. Yes, I think they're beautiful." Queen Zareth was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, "I would like to learn more about how humans see beauty. Will you teach me?" Jake smiled. "We'd be honored to, Your Majesty." Jake woke up to the sound of alarms blaring through the Zephyrian station. Red lights flashed in the corridors outside his room. He could hear the heavy footsteps of warriors running past his door. Something was very wrong. He quickly got dressed and found Lisa and Ben in the hallway. They looked confused and worried. A Zephyrian guard approached them, his armor gleaming under the emergency lights. "Humans, you must come with me immediately," the guard said. "The station is under attack." They followed the guard through corridors filled with rushing Zephyrian warriors. Everyone was moving with purpose, preparing weapons and taking positions. The guard led them to a secure room deep inside the station. "Wait here," the guard said. Queen Zarath will send instructions soon. But Jake didn't want to wait. He stepped back into the corridor and called to a passing warrior. What's happening? Who's attacking? The warrior stopped and looked down at Jake. Kralix raiders. They want to destroy the human ship and kill your delegation. They say humans are too dangerous to be allowed to make friends with us. Jake felt his heart pound. The Kralix were another alien race, one that hated humans. They thought humans were weak but tricky, and they didn't want humans making alliances with strong species like the Zephyrians. Where is Queen Zarath? Jake asked. In the command center, the warrior said. But you must stay here where it is safe. Jake shook his head. No, we're not hiding while others fight for us. He ran toward the command center, with Lisa and Ben following behind. They could hear the sounds of battle getting closer. Energy weapons fired in the distance. Metal crashed against metal. The command center was a huge room filled with screens and control stations. Queen Zarath stood in the middle, wearing her full battle armor. She was giving orders to her commanders when she saw the humans enter. What are you doing here? She demanded. You should be in the safe room. We don't hide when our friends are fighting, Jake said. What can we do to help? Commander Vextar looked up from a control station. Your Majesty, the Kralix have broken through the outer defenses. They have boarding ships heading for Docking Bay 7. Queen Zarath's 4 eyes blazed with anger. That's where the human ship is docked. They're trying to destroy it. Jake stepped forward. Then we need to get there and stop them. You? Commander Vextar laughed harshly. You are tiny. You have no armor, no heavy weapons. You would be killed in seconds. Maybe, Jake said. But that's our ship they're trying to destroy. We're not going to let that happen without a fight. Queen Zarath stared at Jake. Around the room, her warriors watched to see what she would decide. Finally, she nodded. Very well. Commander Vextar, give the humans weapons and light armor. We go to defend Docking Bay 7. Ben looked nervous. Jake, are you sure about this? We're diplomats, not soldiers. I used to be a soldier, Jake reminded him. And sometimes diplomats have to fight too. The Zephyrians quickly fitted the humans with armor that was too big for them and energy weapons they could barely lift. Jake felt awkward in the heavy gear, but the weapon's weight was familiar in his hands. They ran through the station corridors toward Docking Bay 7. Queen Zarath led the way, her massive form moving with surprising speed. Behind her came 20 Zephyrian warriors, and behind them came the 3 humans. As they got closer to the docking bay, they could hear the sounds of fighting. Energy blasts lit up the corridors. They could smell smoke and burning metal. The Kralix have already landed, Commander Vextar reported. They're trying to reach the human ship. Queen Zarath stopped at a corner and looked around it. I see 12 Kralix warriors. They have heavy weapons and energy shields. Jake moved up beside her and looked for himself. The Kralix looked like giant insects with metal armor. They were bigger than humans but smaller than Zephyrians. Their weapons glowed with dangerous energy. They're trying to plant explosives on our ship, Jake said. If they succeed, they'll destroy it and probably damage your station too. Queen Zarath turned to her warriors. We attack in 2 groups. Half of you go left, half go right. Surround them and drive them back. But as the Zephyrians moved to attack, more Kralix soldiers appeared from other corridors. Soon there were 30 of the enemy instead of 12. We're outnumbered, Commander Vextar said grimly. Jake studied the battle. He had fought in situations like this before, when he was a Marine. Your Majesty, Zephyrians fight with honor and strength, but sometimes you need to fight with tricks too. What do you mean? Queen Zarath asked. Jake pointed to some maintenance tunnels near the ceiling. Lisa and Ben can get into those tunnels and attack the Kralix from above. While they're distracted, we can charge them from the front. Lisa looked scared but determined. I've never been in a real fight before. Just point and shoot, Jake told her, and stay safe. Queen Zarath considered the plan. It could work, but it is dangerous for your people. Everything worthwhile is dangerous, Jake said. The Queen nodded. Do it. Lisa and Ben climbed into the maintenance tunnels while Jake, Queen Zareth, and the Zephyrian warriors got ready to attack. Jake could feel his heart beating fast, but his hands were steady on his weapon. "On my signal," Queen Zareth whispered. Suddenly, energy blasts came from above as Lisa and Ben opened fire on the Kralliks. The enemy soldiers looked up in confusion, trying to figure out where the shots were coming from. "Now," Queen Zareth roared. The Zephyrians charged forward with Jake right beside them. His smaller size let him move faster than the big warriors. He reached the first group of Kralliks before anyone else. The battle was loud and chaotic. Energy blast filled the air. Metal clanged against metal. Jake ducked under a Krallik's weapon and shot the alien in the chest. The creature fell with a crash. Queen Zareth fought like a force of nature. Her weapons cut through Krallik's armor like it was paper, but there were so many enemies and more kept coming. Then Jake saw something that made his blood run cold. A Krallik soldier was sneaking around behind Queen Zareth. She was fighting 3 other enemies and didn't see him coming. The Kralliks raised his weapon to shoot her in the back. Jake didn't think. He just ran. He threw himself between the Queen and the Krallik's weapon just as it fired. The energy blast hit him in the chest and threw him against the wall. Pain exploded through Jake's body. He felt like he was on fire. But he managed to raise his own weapon and shoot the Kralliks before falling to the ground. Queen Zareth spun around and saw Jake lying on the metal floor. Her 4 eyes went wide with shock and anger. She let out a roar that shook the entire docking bay. The Queen fought with new fury. Her weapons moved so fast they were just blurs of light. In minutes, all the remaining Kralliks were either dead or running away. Queen Zareth knelt beside Jake. His armor was burned through and he was breathing hard. Blood stained his shirt. "Why did you do that?" she asked, her voice full of worry. "Why did you risk your life for me?" Jake looked up at her with pain-filled eyes but managed to smile. "Because you're worth protecting, and that's what decent people do." Queen Zareth carefully lifted Jake in her arms. Even though she was so much bigger than him, she held him gently. "Get the medical team," she ordered her warriors. "Now." As the medical team arrived and began treating Jake's wounds, Queen Zareth stayed beside him. She held his hand in her large, clawed one. "You saved my life," she said quietly. "You would have done the same for me," Jake whispered back. Queen Zareth looked at him with something new in her glowing eyes. It was respect, but it was more than that. It was understanding. "Yes," she said, "I would have." 3 days later, Jake woke up in the station's medical bay. His chest was wrapped in bandages, but the pain was much better. Zephyrian doctors had used their advanced healing technology to repair most of the damage from the energy blast. When he opened his eyes, he saw Queen Zareth sitting in a chair beside his bed. She had been there every day, the nurses told him later. She looked tired, and some of her armor was still scratched from the battle. "You're awake," she said with relief in her voice. "The doctors said you would be fine, but I wanted to see for myself." Jake tried to sit up, but the Queen gently pressed him back down. "Rest. You nearly died saving my life." "But I didn't die," Jake said with a weak smile. "Humans are tougher than we look." Queen Zareth laughed, but it was a soft, warm sound. "Yes, I am learning that. The doctors said a blast like that would have killed most aliens, but you survived." "How are Lisa and Ben?" Jake asked. "They are fine. Worried about you, but fine. They fought very well in the battle. Dr. Carter shot 4 Krallik soldiers, and Ben Hayes saved 2 of my warriors from an explosion." The Queen smiled. "Your friends are braver than they think." Jake nodded. "Humans usually are." Over the next few days, as Jake recovered, Queen Zareth made several important announcements. First, she declared that any attack on human ships in Zephyrian space would be treated as an attack on the Zephyrians themselves. Second, she offered to share some of their advanced medical technology with Earth. Third, she invited human ships to use Zephyrian stations for rest and supplies. But the biggest announcement came on Jake's last day in the medical bay. Queen Zareth called for a great assembly in the main hall. All the important Zephyrian leaders came to hear what she had to say. Jake was finally strong enough to attend, though he still moved slowly. Lisa and Ben helped him walk to the assembly. The great hall was packed with Zephyrian nobles, warriors, and ship captains. Queen Zareth stood before them all wearing her finest armor. But Jake noticed something different about her. She stood straighter, and her voice carried a new kind of confidence. "My people," she began. "For too long we have seen ourselves through the eyes of other species. They called us monsters, so we acted like monsters. They said we were ugly, so we believed we were ugly." The crowd listened carefully. Many of them nodded in agreement. But the humans have shown us something different. They see strength where others see ugliness. They see honor where others see only violence. They see beauty in our scars because they understand that scars come from protecting others. Queen Zareth walked to where Jake sat. This human risked his life to save mine. Not because he had to, but because he thought I was worth saving. He looked at me and saw not a monster, but someone worthy of friendship and respect. She turned, back to the crowd. "From this day forward, the Zephyrian Empire and Earth will be allies. Not because we fear each other, but because we respect each other." The Zephyrian crowd cheered. It was a sound like thunder, but it was happy thunder. Jake felt proud to have been part of making this moment happen. After the assembly, Queen Zareth walked with the humans back to their ship. It was time for them to return to Earth with news of the Alliance. The Terra's Hope had been repaired after the Kralix attack and was ready for the journey home. As they reached the docking bay, Queen Zareth stopped walking. She looked down at Jake with her 4 glowing eyes. "Before you go, I have one more question for you," she said. "Of course, Your Majesty. When you first called me gorgeous, was it just diplomacy? Were you just trying to make me happy so I would agree to an alliance?" Jake looked up at her. In the days since the battle, he had learned even more about her character. He had seen her worry about his injuries. He had watched her care for her people. He had seen her make hard decisions with wisdom and kindness. "Your Majesty," he said honestly, "when I first met you, I thought you were impressive and strong. But now, after getting to know you, I think you're one of the most beautiful people I've ever met." Queen Zareth touched one of her scars, but this time it was different. Instead of hiding it, she seemed to be honoring it. "And I think you humans are the strangest and most wonderful creatures in the galaxy," she said. "You see beauty where others see only fear." Lisa stepped forward. "Your Majesty, it's been an honor to learn about Zephyrian culture. I hope our people will continue to share knowledge." Ben nodded. "And I hope Zephyrian warriors will teach human soldiers about honor and protecting others." Queen Zareth smiled at them both. "They will. We have much to learn from each other." As the humans prepared to board their ship, Queen Zareth called Jake aside for a private word. "You have given me a great gift," she said quietly. "You have shown me how to see myself clearly again. For that, you will always be welcome in Zephyrian space." "And you've given us a gift too," Jake replied. "You've shown us what true strength looks like. Not just physical strength, but strength of character." Queen Zareth reached into her armor and pulled out something small. It was a metal pendant shaped like a Zephyrian honor mark. "This is for you," she said, putting it around Jake's neck. "It means trusted friend in our language. Very few aliens have ever received one." Jake touched the pendant. It felt warm from being close to the Queen's heart. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll treasure it always." The Queen stepped back and gave Jake a formal bow, but her eyes were warm. "Travel safely, Jake Morrison. And remember, you taught an old warrior queen that scars can be beautiful." Jake bowed back. "And you taught a human diplomat that true beauty comes from courage and kindness." As the Terra's Hope prepared to leave the station, Jake stood at the observation deck and watched the Zephyrian docking bay grow smaller. Queen Zareth stood at one of the station's windows watching them go. Lisa joined Jake at the observation deck. "That was amazing," she said. "We actually did it. We made an alliance with the most feared species in the galaxy." Ben came up behind them. "And we did it by being ourselves, by seeing them the way humans see things." Jake nodded. still touching the pendant around his neck. Sometimes the best diplomacy is just being honest about what you see in people. As the Terra's Hope jumped to faster than light speed, Jake thought about everything that had happened. He had come expecting to meet monsters and had found friends instead. He had learned that beauty really was in the eye of the beholder, and that sometimes the most fearsome-looking people had the most beautiful hearts. Back on the Zephyrian station, Queen Zareth stood in her throne room looking at her reflection in a polished metal wall. For the first time in years, when she looked at her scars, she smiled. They were beautiful because they told the story of a life lived with purpose and courage. She touched the newest scar on her arm, one she had gotten during the battle with the Krelliks. This scar had a different meaning than the others. This one reminded her that sometimes the most beautiful thing you can do is fight alongside friends who see your true worth. From that day forward, the Zephyrian Empire and Earth were the strongest of allies, and whenever anyone asked Queen Zareth why she trusted humans so much, she would touch her scars and say, "Because they taught me that true beauty comes from within, and they proved they could see the beauty in me." The alliance lasted for generations, built not on fear or need but on mutual respect and the understanding that beauty, strength, and worth come in many different forms. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that Jake Morrison had known from the beginning, that anyone brave enough to protect others regardless of how they looked was truly gorgeous.